Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're ready to begin this evening's board meeting. The school board meeting of December 10th, 2019 is now called to order. The time is 6 p.m. At this time, we request that all electronic devices be put in the silent mode. Also, we ask that you please refrain from using flash photography except during the special presentations portion of the meeting. We would like to take this opportunity to remind the members of the public of the district's mission, which is to ensure that each student achieves his or her highest personal potential, and also of the district's vision to be a world-class school system. Prior to the start of this evening's board meeting, we have been enjoying the North Fort Myers Academy for the Arts Chamber Choir under the direction of Stacy McDonald. The Chamber Choir was formed 4 years ago and is an auditioned choir. The choir takes place in school concerts and events and is seen throughout the community, especially during Christmas time, spreading holiday cheer. They just finished taping of Sounds of the Season video and will be representing the school at the airport next week. Students in this group are excited by choral music and work hard to be selected for the FMEA All-State Chorus. Each year, 6 to 8 students are chosen for this high honor. They are one of very few middle schools to take part in the FVA Solo and Ensemble Vocal Festival, where they receive superior ratings in various categories. They take part in Lee County All-County Choir and in the River District's Arts Walk. At the Choral MPA Festival, they have received straight superiors and make the school very proud. These students love to sing and realize the importance of being in a choir. It develops self-esteem, confidence, and the ability to communicate with each other. There is such an elevated sense of achievement during the rehearsal process when harmonies and the music come together. They truly become a family through song. Please welcome North Fort Myers Academy for the Arts Chamber Choir for one more song.
All of the other reindeers used to laugh and call him names.
Aren't they amazing? Let's give them one more round of applause. Thank you. At this time, we'll take a brief recess to clear the performance area. Thank you again. You guys are awesome.
Work. The holiday ones. Credit card.
See these two boys in the front?
It's pretty.
Okay, we'll resume now. Once again, Emery Cavan is this evening's student representative from the School Board Student Advisory Committee. He is a senior at Fort Myers High School who is interested in journalism, politics, world events, and law. For the past 3 years, he has been working in the Communications and Production Department of our district, where he produces video news stories. Emery is a member of his school's mock trial team and is president of the student government at his school. He was also the first middle school student to be a student representative at a school board meeting and has been part of the School Board Student Advisory Committee for 3 years. Welcome back, Emery. This evening's agenda includes the invocation, the Pledge of Allegiance, one acknowledgement, one recognition, public comment, consent action items, which include 3 items under Executive Services, 4 items under Academic Services, 5 items under Business Services, 3 items under Human Resources, 20 items under Operations, as well as 1 item under Attorney's Recommendation, and 4 items under Other Business. Board members, is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Giovanelli and seconded by Ms. Morgan. Please record your vote. This evening, Ms. Patrica will deliver the invocation after I will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise for the invocation.
Dear Lord, how we've waited for this time off, and now it's almost here. Thank you, Lord, for the opportunity to take a break from our daily routines and replenish our minds, bodies, and souls so that we may better serve you. Help us relax and enjoy every moment, whatever it may bring. We are grateful for the joys that await us, whether they be the beauty of your creation, recreation with family or friends, or peace and solitude. Watch over us and protect us and bring us back safely, refreshed and renewed. Amen. Amen.
At this time, please welcome Mr. Daniel DeShazo and Mr. Armand Kalugden, history teachers and junior leadership program instructors at Calusa Middle School. Mr. DeShazo, a Mariner High School graduate, has been teaching since 2017 and a veteran of the United States Marine Corps. He served as a signals intelligence analyst for the National Security Agency and rose to the rank of sergeant. Afterwards, he graduated from Florida State University, majoring in education. He was recognized as the Lee County New Teacher of the Year in 2018 in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. Mr. Kalugden, an Ida Baker High School graduate and former student of mine, has been teaching since 2016. A University of Tampa graduate, he majored in criminology and serves as a military police captain in the U.S. Army Reserve. He deployed as a platoon leader in Afghanistan in 2014. Mr. Kalugden will introduce the cadets presenting the colors this evening. Welcome, Armand.
Thank you. The colors for the Pledge of Allegiance will be presented by the Calusa Middle School Color Guard, Cadet Brandon Burton, Cadet Jasiah Chenault, Cadet Christian Bauer, and Cadet Mackenzie McIntyre. The Pledge of Allegiance tonight will be presented by 8th grader Cadet Jamira Williams. She currently serves as a cadet platoon sergeant and currently has achieved a 3.38 GPA. Jamira is an active member in the junior leadership program, serving as both the color guard and drill team commander. She plans to attend Cape Coral High School, where she will actively participate in both the JROTC and music programs.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right face, forward, march.
You may be seated. At this time, our student representative, Emery Cavan, will present the character education word and design for December.
The character education word for December is kindness, which is demonstrating concern for the well-being of others, giving support, and showing empathy. Here's a quote: "Kindness is the language with which the deaf can hear and the blind can see." That's by Mark Twain. The design you see displayed was created by Gracie Gohl, a 10th grade student from Estero High School.
Thank you, Emery. Okay, now we'll have an acknowledgement, a holiday greeting card, so we'll come down.
Each year, the district solicits entries for its annual holiday greeting card display, and this year the event was open to our high school students. Once the entries are received, staff reviews them and votes for their favorites, which are then displayed in our lobby throughout the holiday season. It is my privilege this evening to introduce our high school student artists. As I call your name, please come forward with your school representatives. From Island Coast High School, Principal Dr. Michelle Courtmora, Elliot, and I'm sorry if I butcher your last name, Sandomenge, student from 12th grade, Hannah Smith, student from 12th grade, and Scott Gelcher, art teacher. You got it? Thank you, Dr. Santini.
I'll help you because these are a little heavy.
Okay, great. Oh, Well, you might as well go over there and give it to them, and then they can take the picture. It's okay, now you gotta have a picture. Congratulations. From Riverdale High School, Principal Scott Cook, Nathalie Riviero Marin, student 10th grade, and Amber Ross, art teacher. From Cypress Lake High School, Principal Angela Rolls. The student is Olivia Bellevard, student 11th grade, and Marguerite Petchter, art teacher. From Bonita Springs High School, Principal Jeff Estes, and then Olivia Vassar, student 10th grade, and Jill Ananushi, art teacher. Congratulations. From Estero High School, Principal Michael Ambile. And then student is Vianney Ariano Sanchez, student 10th grade, and Molly Fredericks, art teacher. From Fort Myers High School, Principal Dr. Butts, Holland Tyson, student 11th grade, and Beth Everhart, art teacher. Last but not least, from Cape Coral High School, Principal Christian Engelhardt, and then the student is Brittany Bowe, 10th grade, and Amy Smith, art teacher. I would like to thank Dr. Doug Santini, Executive Director of Fine and Performing Arts Department, for your assistance. Thank you. And I just want to say also that the artistic talent of these students and the dedication of their principals and art teachers is sincerely appreciated. Their efforts have brightened our holidays. Thank you.
At this time, we'll pause briefly. For those who wish to leave the auditorium may do so. Although you're more than welcome to stay.
I cannot see. This is like. Reflecting right in my face.
I know you can't, I can't see mine at all. You could just make it go up.
closer to you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is public comment. Mr. Quick, please address the agenda item of public comment.
School board policy provides the opportunity at this point in the meeting to address the board concerning any matter on this meeting's agenda or any other matter relevant to the operation of the school district. If you completed a card and submitted it before the meeting began, you'll be called in the order the cards were submitted. If you did not submit a card but still wish to address the board this evening, Ms. Fisher, the board chair, will give you an opportunity in a moment to express that desire. The rules concerning comment are posted at the back of the room. The board does not respond during public comment time to remarks made by speakers. At the end of the public comment period, the board chair will address the assignment of any concerns or requests made during public comment to the superintendent. Speakers and those attending the meeting are expected to act in a respectful manner. Attacks on individuals or abusive comments are prohibited. In addition to clapping, booing, hissing are prohibited. Speakers who fail to follow rules regarding quorum shall be ruled out of order. Any speaker continuing with such remarks will be required to relinquish the lectern per Board Policy 1.11. Time per speaker is 3 minutes. Madam Chair, I have 5 cards.
Thank you, Mr. Quick. We offer the opportunity to those who may be unfamiliar with the public comment process to raise their hands and provide their names. The blue card is a public record identifying those who speak and providing contact information to staff for follow-up. If you did not complete a blue public comment card, please proceed to Mrs. Johnson on your left after completing your comments so that we will have a written record. Is there anyone on the right side of the auditorium who wishes to speak who did not fill out a card? Anyone on the left side? Thank you. Mr. Quick, call the first name, please.
First speaker is Tyler Matchey.
Hello, board. Thank you for having me. I'm here to share my experience, strength, and hope. My name is Tyler Mackey. I'm 18, and the educational system failed me and is continuing to fail others. Here to discuss some severe concerns on behalf of the student body and future generations. Apparent that we are having many issues regarding how to make school a better learning environment for the students, such as safety, bus stops not being lit up. A kid got hit by a car just yesterday and had to get airlifted off the street to the Lee County Hospital. Student engagement. Kids see school as a chore instead of an opportunity. And teachers' salary. They're not getting paid enough. They're not passionate about their job. And how are students expected to be passionate about learning when the teachers aren't even passionate about teaching? I could go and keep going on, but I only have 3 minutes. The problem is we have a weak foundation, a foundation to meet with economic demands of industrial revolution over a century ago. Fast forward to today, a hyper-connected society that is in constant state of evolution. Now, let's spark our curious and creative minds, which this outdated school system seems to have taken from us, and develop a new foundation from scratch, a foundation that is strong and can adapt instead of collapse. My name is Tyler Mackey. I'm 18, and the educational system failed me. And all I have to ask is, where do we start? Because I care. Thank you.
Next speaker is Matt Compton.
My name is Matt Compton, and I'd like to bring some attention to some of the school bus stop safety issues that I've witnessed over the past couple weeks. I work for a company called Solar Guard, and we manufacture the nation's only school bus stop safety light, and we're working with Elmer Tabor in Cape Coral with the Bench project as well. There have been some safety concerns. We've been out every single morning at 5:30 to 7 a.m. to monitor our lights to make sure they're working with the test. And we've got some issues concerning children having to be forced to cross the street without the protection of a stop sign or any kind of lights whatsoever while they're waiting at these safe spaces. A good example would be we've had buses that just drive right past these benches and the lights where kids are sitting, and they go down about another 50 or so, 100 feet, and the kids have to walk to them. At an intersection where one of our lights is, it's on the northeast portion of the intersection. A bus northbound stops and is looking to load the kids on at the southeast portion of the intersection, forcing the kids to walk across the street and then down towards where that bus is. Again, it's another 100 or so feet. They also don't have the protection of a stop sign or even the school buses' stop signs and lights because they're on the opposite side from where they're approaching. I was at a Florida engineers conference a few weeks back, and a traffic engineer from Charlotte County, Brian, he told me that the best way to get anything pushed forward in terms of any safety things like this is for school board to take it upon themselves to ask or request the engineers for a safety program rather than having a sales guy come in and try and pitch to them. They say that obviously the school district coming in and asking for a safety request is taken much more seriously. I would like to address this further, but I only have 3 minutes. So I'll be here at the end of the board meeting if you have any questions. And I would like to listen.
Anthony Thomas.
Good evening, members of the school board. For the record, my name is Anthony Thomas. I'm a political activist here in Lee County. I've been involved with the school district for about 20 years. I rise tonight to talk about something that saddens me. Everyone knows I'm a big Mary Fisher fan. I love Mary Fisher. She's my friend and a mentor. But there's something that has been troubling to me that I feel I needed to express to the board and to, as I talked to Ms. Fisher early in the week, that needs to be addressed. And what it is there are substantial rumors that are circulating in this district with the staff and even among board members that I've talked to recently about allegations that the superintendent may have information on your board chair and may be using this information to blackmail Mrs. Fisher and to containing or maintaining her support for him. And that's deeply troubling to me. So I reached out to Robert Morgan and other people in the district who've worked here for a long time, who've since retired. And I said, I want the real deal. I want to know the truth. So I want to make the public aware of what has been going on, because I don't think we need to just talk about stuff behind closed doors. We need to have maximum transparency, and we need to deal with it if it's something that needs to be dealt with. There's an issue at hand dealing with Mrs. Fisher's grandson who used to work for the district. There were allegations that were made that Mrs. Fisher's grandson had stolen school district property. Now, I don't know the truth or accuracy of this. I know from talking to Ms. Fisher, she told me there's no truth to it. And I happen to give great credit to and credence to what Mrs. Fisher represents. So I don't know if there's truth to it, but I do know there's serious allegations if you have board members talking about it, if you have staff members. We have whistleblowers who've come forward and told Mrs. Fisher information, and after they told her the information, they say, well, she didn't do anything. So if there's a question, if there's controversy surrounding the board chair and whether or not, I can tell you, I've talked to staff members who are currently in Dr. Atkins' administration, and they've told me some very interesting stuff. One of them said, well, Dr. Atkins, Ms. Fisher was working on an issue with somebody that she was trying to help Mrs. Hall, a little girl who had a situation at Fort Myers High School. And what was told to me by staff members, both present and former staff members, that Dr. Atkins said, look, I don't care what Mary Fisher says. I don't listen to her. I'm going to do what my two colleagues or what his two members from Bonita want. So we have serious issues that need to be addressed. I would appreciate if Ms. Fisher will clear up the air. Dr. Atkins, is this true? Are you using the information? I know you at the time was the Director of Human Resources. I know the meeting took place. I know where the meeting took place at. We need to get to the bottom of this. Thank you, and I yield back my time.
Jacqueline Perez.
Good evening, Board. I want to address the first speaker, and I want to say that I'm truly sorry that the education system failed you. I'm very sorry. And as for the second speaker, I think I heard at a board meeting that we had almost doubled our sales tax of what has been anticipated. Maybe some of that monies can go to the items that he was speaking about. So I'm going to go on with mine. At the last school board meeting, I informed the board of an email of a respected and prominent attorney. My question for the board is how many of you inquired about Mr. Yormak's claims that he had a client that was being treated unfairly as a whistleblower, that this client gave the superintendent and director of human resources evidence of grade fraud, which falsely inflated graduation rates. It is now known that the superintendent filed the 362-page investigation with the state most recently in retaliation. I find that very malicious. And now the state and the OIG have opened up an investigation on the district. Was the board informed? That is my question. I wanted to know also why the superintendent took almost a whole calendar school year since he was informed about grade fraud, and he decided to only open an investigation 2 weeks ago or 2.5 weeks ago. Instead of being spectators, please fulfill your responsibilities and ask the right questions. Inquire, be responsible. That's why you were elected. And do not allow fellow board members, including the superintendent, to publicly make up stories and blatantly lie children and private citizens, and make blatant lies and fairy tales about individuals having multiple frivolous lawsuits, one being District Board Member 3, who has made that fraudulent claim against myself and my child, and I have no lawsuit against the school district. I would like to state publicly that that is slander and libel, and it's only a form of protection that this particular school board member and the superintendent have actually partook in to try to discredit us. But the policies that you have in place presently that protect children that were changed and disabled children and employees were put in place because of my daughter and what was done to her. And it's reprehensible that a board member would make up lies about a sickly child. How low can you stoop? I also wanted to ask the board, did you know that the OIG was here about 3 weeks ago making inquiries in the month of November? It is very important that you stay attuned and you're informed about your superintendent and what he is doing. My last question. In another board meeting, I presented questions about our IAQ contract vendor doing cleaning at the jailhouse. In his contract, which I have here, under his scope of work, the jailhouse is not included. Why are the taxpayers wasting their money?
It's 3 minutes, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Final blue card is Luis Navarro.
Do not push the button. Okay. Lou Navarra, retired teacher, Lee County resident, 47 years. Good evening, board. Dr. Atkins, I'd like to congratulate the chair, Mary Fisher. My opinion, it's a very good choice, and I think she'll work hard. I was able to speak with her, and I've been impressed, such as that may be for me, okay? I hope we're going to do some better things here for our New Year's resolutions, like better communications between the superintendent. The board's been pretty good about it, but I sent a letter. We keep talking about the half-a-cent sales tax. I haven't met with Mr. Hammond yet. I asked about diverting funds for teacher salaries. I'm concerned about school safety, etc. And I have to thank that fellow, Tyler Matthew. He said a mouthful. Excellent. more than I could say as a 46-year teacher, 38 full-time in the district. I did want to tell you that I did file a lawsuit with the City of Cape Coral Police Department for $600,000 for that false arrest because I felt like I should be sitting up there at District 4. Touche, Debbie. No, she's fine, but that's the truth. And they have accepted and given me a case number. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and I want to hear from y'all, okay? Dr. Atkins, especially you. If not, your deputy superintendent. I did send you enough questions. You need to answer them, sir. And I know you did a good job the first 5 years. Even my son says that. He moved, he quit teaching. All right, good night. God bless all of you.
Thank you. Tyler, thank you for coming to share your thoughts. And you mentioned some issues that are of concern to all of us. Where we start is with the students, and we have a school board student advisory committee which has been in effect for 6 years now, and so that's a good forum, and you are, as a member of the public, welcome to attend and share some of your issues, and maybe you can join some of our brainstorming. If you would like someone from the staff to contact you to talk about some of the other issues, we can do that.
Yes, I love that.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Compton, thank you for bringing the issue of the statement from the Florida engineers. We, of course, all are very interested in school bus safety, and I have decided after hearing what you had to say that I'm going to go out to a couple of bus stops too to see for myself those issues. I know that there are state laws determining where the buses must stop, and that may not be exactly where the benches and the lights are placed, so we can look into that. Dr. Atkins, is there someone from transportation who can help us with that?
Yeah. Well, I was looking at Dr. Savage. He's on it.
Okay. I can't see in the distance, so I can't see him. Mr. Thomas, I'm an elected official, and people can say whatever they want about me. I understand that goes with the territory. I do not want people talking about my children or grandchildren or great-grandchildren. To my knowledge, there is no truth to that, and I was hopeful that my grandson would be here tonight, but he's working late, so he's not. But he's not a thief. He has an excellent record as a worker in this community, has a family, and that's all I can say. And I am not now, nor have I ever been blackmailed by anybody for anything, because I lead a very dull and boring life. Ms. Perez, our sales tax is designated for safety, yes, but we do not own the property that the bus stops are at, so we would have no jurisdiction about that, and I don't know if, Dr. Atkins, if there's any other follow-up information that she can be provided regarding that issue. And let's see. And thank you for sharing the rest of your information with us.
I would just say in response to a piece of that, we continue to work with different municipalities on the benches and also the lighting. I was out actually biking in Lehigh and came across a couple. It was really neat to see. I mean, you talk about a couple benches, and right over the benches were lights. Those were things that were not there just a few months ago. So we've got a really good working relationship as well with the City of Cape Coral, and I think they continue to discuss infrastructure, including lights and sidewalks. So I'm really encouraged by the actions of our local municipalities, and I think we've got a really good working relationship, and I think as we move forward, we will continue to make bus stops in Lee County safer for our students.
And I think that the engineer in Cape Coral is in the conclusion stages of a study, and we'll be getting some information from them about that soon. Mr. Navarra, when I purchased something yesterday, I saw that it said 6.5 cents sales tax. And as we said, the other penny, the other half penny, we think, is held in the state coffers. We agree with you about school safety, and Dr. Atkins, would you like to respond about better communication?
Better communication for
Mr. Navarra,
Mr. Navarra.
Is he here?
I think he,
Oh, he left?
dog, I guess.
Right, and then whenever if he's referring to an email or a question that comes into my office, typically what they're going to do is they're going to refer that to the person who's going to be best equipped to answer that question. So if there's anything that he's directed to my office that hasn't been answered, he can direct it back. And of course, you know, it also shows up here in public comment that he made that request, so I would be happy to address his questions.
Thank you very much. Okay. Next, we have our consent on action items in the agenda. The documentation for action items listed under consent is made available to board members 7 business days prior to the board meeting. We are expected to review all the material, and we have an opportunity to speak with the superintendent with any questions we may have regarding those recommendations. Some of these items have also been briefed or workshopped with the board in advance of appearing on the action agenda. Board members, are there any items that you wish to pull for discussion under the unfinished business or tabled items portion of the agenda? Mrs. Giovanelli?
Yes, I have one, I-8.
I-8. Ms. Patrica?
No, thank you.
Ms. Jordan?
No, thank you.
Ms. Gittens?
No, thank you.
Ms. Vaughn?
I have none.
Mrs. Morgan?
I have none.
And I have none. Is there a motion to approve the agenda's consent items with the exception of I-8?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Gittens and seconded by Mrs. Vaughn. Please record your vote. Okay. We have one pull to address. Dr. Atkins, please read your recommendation for the pulled item.
Okay, it's approval of the estimated expenditure for the ITN for indoor air quality, environmental consulting, asbestos, lead abatement, microbial remediation, remodeling, and painting awarded to American Management Resources Corporation, Fresh Air Solutions of Southwest Florida, and Legal Enterprises, Inc., VA Captain Steamer Carpet Cleaner, Captain's Complete Restoration, Repairs, and Remodeling in the amount of $2,800,000 for the second year of the base contract period of February 28th, 2020 through February 25th, 2021, pursuant to the same conditions, terms and conditions as previously approved by the board. Approval authorizes the superintendent to execute all related documents.
Board members, is there a motion for the pulled item?
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Gittens. Okay. Is there any discussion? Ms. Giovanelli?
I'm the one that pulled this item. I will not be supporting this agenda item. I did speak with Dr. Atkins this afternoon in procurement as well regarding some of the unsolved issues from the state, but at this time, for me, there is still the $800,000 questionable expenditures that the DOE did not approve, and to date, we have not been exonerated from the Florida auditor. We may have to restore the expenditures from operating to capital, and I just can't, at this point in time, agree with this contract because regarding the questionable expenditures, and therefore, it could result in us receiving less money next year because of this item, and that concerns me. We are still waiting for the DOE to respond from the 9/20 letter, and at this time, I'm just going to reserve my vote and not support this tonight.
Thank you. Board members, any other comments or discussion? Ms. Patrica?
Just for clarification, Dr. Atkins, if you could address the revenue issue? please.
Yes, out of the unresolved portion, there's still an amount of a little over $800,000, I believe, that is still unresolved, and that's basically the expenditures that they are, I think, deeming to be custodial in nature versus, maintaining a capital asset, which is what we believe it to be. So if, let's say, the Department of Education rules against what our stance is in this particular matter, then we would be transferring dollars out of our operation or general fund over to our capital fund. So it would not be a loss of revenue at all to the district. It would simply be a transfer from operations to capital.
May I follow up and ask one more question? Is this work that we would be doing in our schools and for the safety and health of our students regardless of the pot of money out of which it comes?
Yes, we're required to do that work.
Thank you.
Ms. Giovanelli.
So, and it is custodial, and we do have a custodian at the schools, so some of this work can be done with our building supervisor and the custodians that work at that school. My other
Well,
concern...
before that's not correct. Now, I want to make sure I'm speaking to the right issue, but as I understand it, the work that has to be done requires licensed contractors to perform, and our custodians do not have the correct licensures to be able to do that. That's why we have the stance that we have. We believe these are people that have to be specially trained that hold specialized certificates or licenses to be able to do this type of work, so your custodian that you typically would find at a school would be unable to do that type of work, and therefore that's why we have I look at it this way on this particular item, it's more of a difference of opinion between what the district's opinion is versus what the state is, and hopefully the Department of Education falls on our side, which has been really where they've been on the majority of these issues. So hopefully it'll land in our favor on this one as well. But if not, we will be transferring the dollars from the operational budget to the capital budget.
So I actually spoke to the Florida auditor, Michael Rogers, and he's the one that said that the expenditures were not within the scope of the contract of the vendor. So that is the issue, really, is that we have a vendor doing work that wasn't within the scope of the contract. So he said that would never change because we need to have the right vendor doing the right job. I mean, I understand your issue regarding moving money from the operations to capital, but that $800,000 is almost $1 million, and that could go towards teachers' pay. And that's a big deal for me because that's $800,000, and that's money back in the teacher's pocket, and now we're taking it from them, and we take too much from them as it stands now, and they are the last on the food chain to get paid, and therefore that results in our students being the last, getting the best teacher, the best education possible, and that's a big deal to me. I'm sorry.
I understand, and teacher compensation is a big deal to me as well.
Point of order, is this I'm sorry, is this a debate? Is this board attorney? Is this, there are other board members that want to weigh in one way or another, and it sounds like it's becoming
And
a
I'll call you in
conversation.
order. Ms. Giovanelli had 2 questions. Mrs. Gittens, you're next.
No, but what I'm saying is, it seems like it's becoming a debate between the superintendent and Ms. Giovanelli. I recognize her to speak.
Thank you. Okay. Ms. Gittens?
But I'm asking the board attorney.
Yeah, I mean, my understanding was Ms. Giovanelli had a couple questions, and the superintendent was responding to them in order. And once Ms. Giovanelli is finished with her speaking, the other board members will have the opportunity to comment in it as opposed to a debate. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Quick. Ms. Gittens?
I know that we were told when we discussed this several months ago that the worst-case scenario is that we would have to move funds from one side of the budget, from operations to capital. My question is, when we prepared our budget for this year, was that a part of the budget that we might have to move funds? Because if not, moving anything from one side to the other leaves a hole on this side. So there was something that was budgeted for that amount on the operations side that now either goes lacking or we have to find funds somewhere else. And I know we have the tax money coming in, and it's more than we thought. But as far as budgeting, when we did the budget, did we plan on, in the off chance we would have to pay this money back?
Yes,
So there is an item in the budget for the 800,000 just in case.
we have contingency funds for these types of items. Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Well, I was trying to see whether it was coming under a question answer or a debate. I was leaning toward the idea that I was hearing a debate, which I thought was not appropriate, but I've been overruled on it, so that's what I wanted to ask.
Thank you. Mrs. Morgan?
I want to call the question, please. We've had this discussion a number of times. It should have transpired on Monday. It did not. We had a conversation about it this afternoon. I would like to call the question.
Thank you. Please record your vote.
Has to be oral.
Oh, okay, that's right, I'm sorry. Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, motion carries 4-3. Dr. Atkins, please introduce any administrators in attendance with a new assignment who were approved under the consent agenda.
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd be happy to. First appointment is Kenneth Swartz from Infrastructure Services, Coordinator, Information Technology Management. Next person, not here this evening, but Christine Schroed, new legal counsel, staff attorney for academic and student services. In January. Next person, Teresa Bowen, exceptional student education. She's being appointed to the director this evening. Congratulations. Tanya Norris, diplomat middle from dean to assistant principal. Nicole Johannette, North Fort Myers teacher to Riverdale High assistant principal. Congratulations.
Congratulations to all of you, and we'll have a little bit of a respite, and then we can get to work right after the first week in January. We will now recess the regular school board meeting at this time. Yes. I'm sorry?
You want to give them a time to leave?
Oh, okay. If there is anyone who would like to leave the auditorium at this time, we'll take a 3-minute break. We'll now recess the regular school board meeting at this time. Ms. Gittens?
As president of the Lee County School Board Leasing Corporation, I would like to call this meeting of December 10th, 2019 to order. The time is 7 o'clock. This evening's agenda includes public comment, 2 secretary's recommendations, other business, and adjournment. Do I hear a motion for the adoption of the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Vaughn and seconded by Ms. Morgan. There's been a motion to adopt the agenda. Said that. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, I think it was unanimous. Motion carries 7-0. We will now have public comment. Mr. Quick, please address the agenda item of public comment.
School board policy provides the opportunity at this point in the meeting for members of the public to address the leasing corp concerning any matter on this leasing corp meeting's agenda. The subject of comment is limited to those items on the agenda. The time permitted is 3 minutes per speaker.
Okay, is there anyone on the right side of the auditorium that would like to speak? On my right? Anyone on my left? Okay, thank you. We will now move to the Secretary's recommendations. And one is approval of the minutes from July 30th, 2019. Director, Secretary, and then do we have her read those? Or is it, we have those already? Do you read them? No, okay. Directors, okay. Directors, you've heard the Secretary's recommendation to approve the minutes of the last Lee County School Board Leasing Corporation meeting held on July 30th, 2019. I will now entertain a motion.
So moved.
Ms. Morgan, and second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Jordan. The Secretary's recommendation has been moved and seconded. And is there any discussion? There being none, all in favor of the vote signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And it is unanimous, 7-0. The second part is the organizational resolution of the Lee County School Board Leasing Corporation. Directors, you have heard the Secretary's recommendation to approve the organizational resolution of the Lee County School Board Leasing Corporation for the election of officers, and those officers being Mary Fisher, President, Debbie Jordan, Vice President, Gregory K. Atkins, Dr. Gregory K. Atkins, Secretary, and Dr. Amy V. Desamore as Treasurer. I will now entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Morgan and Ms. Giovanelli. The Secretary's recommendation has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? There being none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. All opposed? I think it is 7-0. Motion carries. At this time, Ms. Fisher, as the new president, will take over chairing the remainder of this meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Gittens. We will now move to other business. Please note that comments may be made in your capacity as directors or officers of the corporation only. Are there any comments? Mrs. Giovanelli?
I have none.
Ms. Patrica?
Thank you.
Ms. Jordan?
I have none.
Mrs. Gittens? Ms. Vaughn?
I have none.
Mrs. Morgan?
I have none.
Dr. Atkins?
I have none.
And I have none. At this point, having no other business to come before this body, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion.
Moved by Mrs. Gittens, seconded by
Second.
Ms. Giovanelli. I will now call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed? Carries 7-0. Thank you. Okay. At this time, I will reconvene the regular school board meeting of December 10th, 2019. Attorney's recommendations. Mr. Quick.
This is for the approval of the contract for professional services with Capital Strategies Consulting, Inc., to provide complete state legislative and governmental relations activities for the period of December 10th, 2019 through June 20th, 2021, at the estimated expenditure of $112,500 for the contract period. Approval would authorize the superintendent to execute all documents. This is your lobbyist, and her contract is coming to an end, and this is to extend that contract, and it's actually extending it for 18 months because the current contract ends in the middle of the legislative session, which is awkward, so it gets it off of that cycle as well.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Quick. Board members, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Giovanelli, seconded by, I'm sorry, Ms. Gittens? Yes, thank you. Any discussion? Please record your vote.
It's not coming up.
Yep, there we go.
And now, we move on to other business. Board members' comments. Mrs. Johnson, I'm sorry, was that unanimous? Yes. Thank you. Motion carried 7-0. Okay. And now we'll move on to board members' comments. Mrs. Giovanelli?
I just have a couple real quick. I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we'll see everybody back in January. I also attended the FSBA, and I have some information to get back to everybody. I don't know who attended what, so I'll be asking and leaving that with the superintendent, some of the information. It was a great, we had a great conference, I believe. And I attended the governor's press conference today and his announcement regarding civics and from kindergarten through 12th grade, and he is going to have a civics exam. That will be interesting to see how that plays out. And he said that the Common Core, they've been working very hard on that, and we should be hearing a lot of, getting update and information on that, on how that's going to play out with all the schools and information back to us. So it's very interesting, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Giovanelli. Ms. Patrica?
So I want to say thank you to Lee Health for the Kids Minds Matter partnership. I think that's really important. I'm excited that given the increased awareness of mental health issues for our students, that they're willing to lend their expertise and their resources to our kids. I think that's great. I have to confess to you all that I hate Christmas music. I really, really hate it. And the older I get, the worse it gets. The first Christmas music I hear of the year, it's like nails on a chalkboard for me. I love the season, just hate the music. That being said, North Fort Myers Academy for the Arts tonight turned me around on that one song they sang. Well, on the couple of Christmas songs they sang. I thought they did a fantastic job. I attended the open house at Bonita Springs High School last night. The line was out the door and around the building. That's how many people are interested in attending that school. Fantastic job over there as usual. I went to the all-county band for middle and high school students on Friday night, and people were giddy, like literally giddy with excitement over how talented our students were. And we had 2 music professors from FGCU who came in to work with our students, and they were fantastic. The middle school kids actually paid attention to the FGCU professor, which he found fascinating, and the students couldn't quite figure out why they were paying attention to the teacher, but he was really good. So 2 more things. I'd like to thank Rotary South for their 31st annual All-Star North versus South football game that they put on. That is so meaningful to those kids. They really get excited to see who's going to be chosen and to play in the game. And it's not just the football players, it's also the cheerleaders for each of the schools that are recognized and get that opportunity, some of them to extend their football career for just one more game, because they may never play again, and others, you know, it's a stepping stone to go on and play in college. So that was really cool. And the final thing is, I was up in FSBA last week, and I had 3 moments of pride. 2 of them were surrounding our IT department. So I was stopped randomly by vendors when they saw that I was wearing a Lee County name tag, and they were like, "Oh, you're from Lee?" Your IT department is the best in the state. They were completely blown away by, or he is back there, by Dwayne Alton.
Right.
And he is, clearly you're leading a premier department across the state of Florida. I mean, they literally stopped me when they saw Lee. They got really excited to share how wonderful you guys are doing. And Trey, they haven't met you, but your reputation precedes you because they had heard wonderful things about you. But the whole department really was very impressive. So that was a moment of pride for me, to just be stopped randomly. And, you know, I wasn't at an IT breakout session or anything. I was randomly stopped for people to compliment our staff. And I know you guys are awesome, but to have that outside feedback was really cool. And then the last thing is, my other moment of pride was when Dr. Atkins was complimented by Senator Montford, saying what a wonderful job Greg is doing. He referred to you as Greg, not Dr. Atkins. And I know you're going to deflect and say what a great team you have, but I hope that every once in a while you see those kinds of unsolicited compliments as a feather in your cap, because I certainly did. It was another moment of pride for me. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank
Oh, wait
you.
a minute. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Happy holidays.
And to you also. Thank you. Ms. Jordan?
Okay, as well, I was at the FSBA conference this past week, and besides those two moments, we also had our Jason from our media. We received an award, and I was sitting there that morning, I was like, why hasn't anybody called Lee County? And then the afternoon came, and then we were called. So they did get a standing ovation. It was from us, but they still got one. And it was great to see them up there because they work so hard here. And then we had one of our teachers and group from South Fort Myers was there presenting, and they had the best booth by far. They did a great job. And then our own Crystal Nunes, she was there speaking on inclusion and diversity, and everyone really enjoyed that class and had a lot to take away from that. So that means a lot that we're being asked to come and be presenters, because people know who we are now, so I think that's a good thing in a positive way. Also, I'm continuing to work with Success Academy in our speaker series. We have one more this month because of the holidays, and then we'll resume that again in the following upcoming year, 2020, which is we're around the corner. North Fort Myers Academy, they always do a fabulous job. I love that school, and the kids are just amazing there. And I hope everybody has a happy New Year's and a Merry Christmas and a safe one, and we'll be back to do better things in 2020.
Gittens?
Okay, since I'm not first and I knew that my fellow teammates were going to talk about the things that I did as well with them, I just have pictures, so to follow up on what they said. The first one was, we did a lot of learning and understanding about the economy and all kinds of things. This is Crystal Nunez, and she was doing her presentation, very well respected event. This was her afterwards, and we decided to ham in there and get a picture with her. These are just a couple of pictures. This was the middle school director from FGCU, and both directors at the high school and middle school all-school band event they were just phenomenal. They were so flamboyant, and the kids just loved them. And the next one, this is the one from high school, and they were really, really good. Totally enjoyed it. My husband went with me, and he said, you know, you close your eyes, you think these are adults professionals that you're listening to. They were very, very good. Also, on a week ago, I spoke at FSW too. I had an opportunity to speak along with Dr. Chapman and Mr. Fred Morgan, to the teachers that are getting ready to graduate from FSW, and many of them coming into our system, thank goodness. And we spoke on the history and the diversity in Lee County. So we kind of tag teamed it, and we did 3 sessions, and it was very good. And interesting to talk and ask questions of those students that are coming out and find out if they really know, or they're ready, what they're getting ready to get into. I think that is it. Thursday evening, Harns Marsh is having their winter festival. So if you have nothing to do and want to get into the spirit, put on your hat and make sure to come. And on Friday, will preclude that we are practicing a song. I don't know how well we're going to do, but as they say in church, we will make a joyful noise. So, Merry Christmas to everyone, and have a safe and happy time, and teachers and staff get some rest.
Thank you, Ms. Gittens. Ms. Vaughn?
Okay, I want to start out with just one serious statement, and then I'll get into some of the other things. Regarding pulling items and asking questions at the last minute at a board meeting when some members feel that it should have been done at an earlier time. Yes, that is a protocol, and it is the best way to do things, but I just want to say this, since we are in the sunshine, and this is where I can say it to my colleagues. As a board member, I reserve the right to decide on a particular vote that I feel is important to me and wait till the last minute, because when I do so, I have the opportunity to hear from other members of the board who may not have spoken out earlier, and also public comment. So that's my serious statement, that although there are going to be members on this board that are strict interpreters of the protocols, I'm a little more, let's say, right-brained on it. I am a member of, my piece of Envision 2030 has to do with the recruitment and retention of teachers. And so we did a presentation, actually the team did a great presentation yesterday. If you have a chance to watch our board workshop, you'll see that. I attended the week before that a meeting of the Minority Recruitment Committee, and that's another great team, and we have a couple of community members as well, and I can say that I'm very pleased and proud of the way that the team has really been looking at all kinds of ways to not only attract new teachers, which I'm sure most of you realize is a really daunting task in today's world, where teachers are not given either the respect or the money that they deserve as teachers, but also looking at options to attract minority teachers. And we're looking at all different ways of different avenues that aren't the old, like back in the days when I was in college, you go to college, you get your education certification, and you find a job. There's a lot of different things that we can do. Like my colleagues here, I was in Tampa as well, we all were, and went to some excellent classes, learned some great things. I too have some pictures from Tampa, only my pictures are on my phone, so, and they're likely to stay on my phone. I'm not as organized, but anyway, did enjoy the FSPA conference in Tampa. There are times when I'm sitting at the dais or doing other board work where I say, oh, I would love to be back in my classroom. This time of the year is not one of those. As a high school teacher, I know the teachers out there are preparing exams. The kids are about to take exams, and then there are the kids that come to you with 1,000 assignments and saying, turn these in, and to grade those, I mean, you can kind of whip through assignments, right, when they're all the same, but when you have 12 different particular assignments, it becomes harder. The kids are, I'm sure, especially in elementary, the kids are getting antsy, waiting for Santa and the toys and all of that. So my blessings to you as teachers, that this is a time that I'm not wishing to jump back into this time of the year. And I wish everyone very happy holidays. I know we have people will be celebrating Hanukkah as well as Christmas and maybe Kwanzaa and some other holidays at this time of the year. And I send my best wishes to all of you for a very, very happy holiday season and a happy new year. That's it.
Thank you, Mrs. Vaughn. Ms. Morgan.
Yeah, it's tough to be almost the last one in line, because a lot of stuff's been covered, but I would like to make a couple of points. First of all, about the South, I commented this afternoon about how much I enjoyed being in a school and actually seeing something happen that we hear about in the process of talking about our strategic plan, and that was my comments regarding the Learning Walk. And then talking about the welding program, at FSBA, they were part of what was called a CTE walk, a career and technology education walk. There were various districts had put booths in this one room, and welding was one. They did do an excellent job presenting, but what I really enjoyed was we sat at lunch with the group, and the teacher, the principal, the student, and talking to the teacher who retired as a professional welder, owner of a welding company, and learning about or hearing him talk about his relationship with students and how he works with the academic side of the house as well. That's the kind of experience I really enjoy. So I was glad to have that opportunity. The other comment I'm going to make has to do with some of the items on the agenda tonight that most of you are not aware of, but I think it's important to highlight partnerships in the Lee County School District and talk about the fact that what we do, we cannot do alone. For example, we approved a memorandum of understanding with Big Brothers Big Sisters of Suncoast. We need people from the community to mentor our students and support our students. We can't do it alone. And that arrangement is something that works very well for us. We have an understanding with Cape Coral Animal Shelter and primate products. And I didn't read through the whole item, but I assume that has to do with CTE and veterinary certifications. And we couldn't do that without a community partnership. Chris mentioned Lee Health for Kids Minds Matter. Lee County Lee Health Collaboration Project, new. Everybody is talking about mental health. Everybody's talking about the stress that students have, the anxiety. We know we can't do it all by ourselves. Lee Health has resources. They've partnered with the district to create a new program to support families in that transition from identifying problems to treatment, and I think that represents an extraordinary opportunity for the district. And then we had an agreement, a new agreement with Kaiser to offer a college-level course with for our students, which means we now have agreements with Kaiser, FSW, and FGCU, all of which give our students opportunities to acquire credits, have learning experiences that they wouldn't have otherwise. So I just want to say at this time of year, thanks to everybody in the community who works so hard to support us and what we try to do for kids. Much appreciated. And I will close with happy holidays to everybody, safe travels, and echoing everyone else, get some rest.
Thank you, Mrs. Morgan. Emery, you have something you'd like to share?
Yes. So first of all, I'd like to say that I agree with the gist of what the first speaker this evening said, that we do have kind of major structural problems with our educational system, nationwide, I think. And we also have problems with how many resources we get as a local government. And I think that the goal, our responsibility here on the local level is to make sure that those limited resources are being used responsibly and that we're using them to improve the education system as much as we can here on this level and encourage teachers who are passionate and other staff as well. And I think that I do commend that speaker for coming up here and speaking about it, because that's always the first step to making a positive change about anything. Next up, I'd like to kind of piggyback off of what Ms. Morgan was discussing with the Kids Minds Matter project. Just kind of from a student perspective, I think that, personally, I think that education is among one of the most important things in anybody's life because it forms your entire future. It kind of influences who you can become. And if you have a lack of mental health support along the way during that really important time in your life, it can create cracks in that foundation. And just to share a personal story, I had a friend a couple years ago, and she had a lot of troubles with mental health. She was in the IB program at Fort Myers High School, and those issues made it very difficult for her to complete her schoolwork and do what she wanted to do at school. And I know that a lot of the guidance counselors at our school and the teachers, they were great and they helped her through it, and she graduated and she's at the college that she wanted to go to now, and that's great. She did have to drop out of the IB program though. It was too much. And I think that part of that is that her parents, and of course this is through her eyes, her parents didn't know exactly how to deal with it. They weren't trained in that. They didn't know what to do. And the Kids Minds Matter project, from what I've read here on the agenda, seems to support families by educating them on how to deal with those issues. And I think that that's vital because, as Ms. Morgan said, we have a limited amount of guidance counselors in our school district. We have a lot of kids in our school district, and they can't do it alone. We don't have enough resources to create a safety net that can catch every single student that falls. And so creating partnerships with the community is, I think, vital to making sure that we can cover those people that are usually left behind despite our best efforts. And I think that that's pretty much all I have to say. On a side note, the award in Tampa from the communications department, as was talked about earlier, I work in Lee Schools TV, and I know that Jason Sill, Emily Emmerich, and Adam Wright, they all worked very hard on creating that event, and I think that they did a great job with it. I know I had a lot of fun.
yeah, there it is.
That's right there. So that's all. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much, Emery, and thank you for being willing to be our student representative once again this evening. So I'm going to be brief. I just wanted to add a little bit regarding the showing that we had at the FSBA joint conference this year. So the award that our district won was the Public Relations Association Award, and we have the Best Student Teacher Recognition Program for the 2019 Lee County Student Film and Television Awards. Also, our presentation by Crystal Torres Nunez on Safe and Healthy Schools, Equity and Access was excellent, and I had a call from Equality Florida director, and she said that when she looked at the Equity and Diversity newsletter that Crystal put out, she thought it was so well done and so comprehensive that she's sharing it across the state as a model. So that's really good. The CTE stroll was great, and our comprehensive and technical education stroll was great. And our South Fort Myers High made a great showing. They had a double-sized display, and they really focused on how they are providing professional and purposeful career pathways for students. They also listed, in addition to their welding program, all of their other opportunities that they have in the career field, and they were represented by the teacher, the student, the principal, and the business partner. So I thought that was really a great statement about how important it is for us to work with our community in a number of ways. I'm very heartened by the whole partnership with Lee Health and Salis Care, and the impact that the work that Ms. Brooks has done on the mental health program here in this district. We are leading the state in that also. And so I want to thank you, Ms. Brooks, for that. And I also want to say that we have a House bill number, and I had it written down, and now I don't know what I did with it. But, so we may get funding from the state if we are fortunate. With that, I just want to say to all of our students, staff, and our community partners, have a happy, peaceful, restful holiday, and we'll see you in January 2020. Thank you. Mr. Quick.
Nothing from me, other than if I don't speak with everyone before the holidays, have a happy holidays.
Thank you. And Dr. Atkins.
All right, well, Emery, first of all, thank you for your comments, and I would encourage you, particularly as it relates to education, stay involved as you go into adulthood, because I think if we had more people involved in American education, that we would certainly do some of the reforms that we think are necessary. And be careful, because sometimes when you get frustrated, you do things like wind up in the field yourself and in positions such as this one. So who knows, because you want to make a difference and you want to change. So I appreciate that. And all of our students that sit up here, I'm always impressed with how articulate they are and how just how well they communicate and passionate about their issues. So thank you for being here. I appreciate that. Last week for me was a pretty awesome week, and it had nothing to do with board being out of town. Before somebody says that, I know I could see the wheels turning. No.
We heard you.
I always make a point to get out to schools, but some weeks I am able to get out there even more than others. And last week was a great example. I do the normal school visits. But I have to tell you that, I visited Diplomat Elementary, and Mauro Vertrees is out there as the principal. And I have to tell you that when you walk around those classrooms, and I've visited her now years, it's been several years I've been out there, and I just walk away impressed with the work that the teachers do with the students in that building and many of our buildings, but it's just impressive the degree of improved pedagogy and instructional technique that you see out there, the way that they are working to engage students. And I think that you walk away from a building like that and you really start to feel good about what you do, what we do as a school district. Also spending some time with Senator Benaquisto. We had the Grow Your Own, which many of you were involved in that. I think that's a wonderful program that we've talked a lot about, and you all made it a part of your platform, and we worked on it for 3 years, and we got it across the finish line. But appreciate her leadership and Representative Roach. But then it was neat to see Representative Roach and Senator Benaquisto on the ground with kindergartner kids, reading, and that was just kind of neat to see. Later that week, she visited, Senator Benaquisto's visited Gulf Elementary, Paul Lawrence Dunbar Middle School, and Dunbar High School. And I was able to attend the last two of those events. Very, very impressive with what, again, you see in Dunbar High School and what those kids are able to do and talk about, and I mean, even what they were talking about in that program with coding, these kids were well above that. I mean, they were already, you're talking to one young man, he goes, well, I actually code in da-da-da-da-da, and this is what I would do. So he was already beyond what we were talking about when we were presenting that coding lesson, or she was presenting that coding lesson. But very impressive with at Dunbar High School. But what was really neat, and you know that I have roots with Paul Lawrence Dunbar Middle School, was to see the middle school students outperform what I saw at the high school in terms of the amount of code that they put together and what they were able to get their action figures to be able to do in the music and all this type of stuff. Just those super inquisitive minds of middle school kids, and when they're engaged, what they can actually achieve. So that was kind of neat, and I think that the senator was a little bit like, oh, we're going to middle school now, not sure how this is going to turn out, and then walked away super impressed, and so I did as well with what they were doing in that particular classroom. So those type of things make you really feel good about what you do, and so I know that you all would have loved to have been at all of those events, but we have to sometimes divide and conquer so that we can cover what we're required to do.
Superintendent, can you cover Alva as well? We left that one out.
Alva, that was really, that was another neat event. We had the Commissioner of Agriculture out at Alva, the Alva School, and she was there to see the great programs, agricultural programs that we have across Lee County. And, you know, so we had the tour of the barn. And the barn, for those of you who don't know, that is a parent community-generated effort that is just, I think I'm very jealous of the barn. You know, I've got barn envy when it comes to that barn. And so that program is just, it's just a fantastic program. And we took the opportunity to also invite, you know, our ag teachers from South High and the principal, Ed Matthews, Sherry Sokovich. We invited a young lady you all know, or I know real well, Shanna, Wendy now, and she's the ag teacher at Riverdale, along with Scott Cook, the principal there, and then, of course, the teacher and principal at the Alva School, and they were all able to talk directly to the agriculture commissioner. And then the kids were able to show her around, and she was able to ask questions, and you know, we're hoping to get her back and see some of our cool ag programs. You know, example would be, of course, Island Coast. Many of you have been there. That's another school I visited last week, and just trying to get her to see really what's a premier hydroponics, aquaponics program. It's one of the best programs in the state. So that was really neat. So thank you to Mrs. Jordan for continuing to hound our commissioner to come down to Lee County, and encourage all of you to continue to do that, to get our local officials into our buildings, because it does make a difference. It opens up their eyes, and that was just neat for I think all of us to see. So that's all for my comments. Other than to say, I wish everybody a wonderful holiday season, and our employees, please get some, please get some rest. I think that's very, very important during this time of year. So thank you, and we'll look forward to finishing out next week and starting a new school year.
Absolutely.
2020.
2020. Thank you, Dr. Atkins. The next scheduled meetings of the board on Friday, January 10th. There will be a board workshop at 1 o'clock. Also, on Tuesday, January 14th, 2020, there will be a board briefing meeting at 1 p.m., followed by an action meeting at 6 p.m. At this point, having no other business to come before this body, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Giovanelli.
Second.
And seconded by Mrs. Gittens. Please record your vote.
We're going to yell?
Glitches tonight.
And then it went away.
It went away.
It wants us to say happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Okay, here it is.
Got it. Fast.
Motion carries unanimously. Happy holidays, everyone. Be safe, and thank you all for your interest and your partnership.